Okay, take it away. Thanks everyone for coming. We are going to talk today about code review in the context of big team science and the rOpenSci organization. Or an easier way to understand that would be how people work together on data management and analysis code. Because I wondered a lot about that after a career of being pretty independent. I really wondered how that would be uh, actually implemented um, in open science projects. And I'll talk about that a little bit more as I introduce our backgrounds. The next slide uh, introduces my co-author, Shani Bellini Saibene. Uh, Her background is in data science and research. She is involved a lot in open science community management also. She is a teacher and produces both in person and online really good guidance and instruction on different kinds of open science, particularly in R. And she is a leader in Our Ladies and the Carpentries and rOpenSci. And she is also kind of the head of the rOpenSci Champions uh, program, which I will talk about some more later. So my background, I'm a quantitative geneticist. I work mostly with working dogs, and I've done actually all kinds of statistics, not just genetics. I worked, in academia or adjacent to academia for a long time. For the last 15 years, I've been working on a contract basis with universities and government and nonprofits. I've worked on data very independently. I've been kind of the data person on my team with veterinarians, psychologists, behaviorists. I worked in human psychiatric genetics for a while with really diverse teams, but I was always kind of the data person, and the data lived on my computer with really good backups, but there wasn't much interaction at all about the analyses, except for in pretty general terms about models. So about 4 years ago, I joined the Many Dogs Project and started thinking about how we could collaborate and manage the data and do the analyses together. And I really didn't know what that would look like, and had great guidance from Jeff Stevens, who was already doing the data work for the first Many Dogs study. Um, so with an interest on working together on code, I joined the rOpenSci Champions program last year, and we will talk on additional slides more about what that year of working together looks like. The next slide. What is rOpenSci? The tagline is transforming science through open data, reproducibility, and software. Um, it's what we call a community of practice, which means it's more than just an infrastructure or mechanism for working together. It is a culture of open and reproducible data and software, where they build infrastructure for collaboration, both socially and technically. And we've had some other speakers today talk about the importance of the social part and the community part and the being welcoming to people of all backgrounds, which rOpenSci is doing an amazing job. In the next slide, we're going to talk about just our rOpenSci's areas of focus. Our software peer review, where We work to, try to use and review and assist other people in developing our packages. They are providing the social and technical infrastructure for all this work. They provide training and mentorship and training for people who want to be mentors, which I would find super useful. Also, one of their big goals is multilingual publishing. There are the website and blog and guides are available, many in Spanish, some in Portuguese as well, which is really important to having more people be able to contribute to open science projects. On the next slide, the resources that rOpenSci provides to the community that you can consult are the extensive website, which has really friendly and detailed development guide. It is in Spanish and English and most recently Portuguese, which is pretty exciting. It has a packaging guide that introduces all the tools that R has to help people write and organize packages. There's a guide for authors that helps you move your package through the rOpenSci review process. And there is a guide for reviewers, which was really useful to me in learning to review packages. It's kind of hands-on description about the different parts of the review. And the next slide. More resources from rOpenSci. Code review happens on GitHub. There's an organization. GitHub has an organization account. They have issues for all of the each package review is an issue in the rOpenSci organization. Some good examples of these, if you're new to this, are in the guide for reviewers. They're kind of easy to follow and show you what kinds of things you'd be expected to do as a reviewer. The review guide also has a template, which is really helpful because it gives you a structure for writing your review, and there's also a checklist of little functions that you want to run to make sure everything is working well together, and things that you want to do if you're testing the package locally. And the next slide, there are more things that you can do to get involved. There's the rOpenSci Slack, which is really, really helpful. There's a channel for development, which for package development, which makes lots of great people available to help people with problems that they're having developing their packages. We have a link here for when you start contributing. There is a really great newsletter monthly that I really like a lot. It is really super well organized and to the point and interesting without being too fluffy. There's also a blog that concerns itself with tips for developing packages and programming in R, and also fostering community. The next slide introduces the Champions program. It addresses the concerns that we have about sustainability in open research software, and has the goal of getting more people involved in contributing for the long term. The cohorts are meant to be diverse, and they foster sustainability and openness and equity. There's a stipend for participants and mentors and instructors, so we're hoping that people join in all those ways. The next slide. The training aspects of the Champions program include a great section on coding best practices, which, even though I had been using R for a couple of decades, was really useful. There are sessions on reproducible coding with Git and GitHub, which is a kind of fundamental set of skills for working together on code. And then specifically writing packages, and then also another set of sessions on reviewing packages. And part of the rOpenSci Champions experience is also to be involved in learning how to, and then actually implementing inclusive outreach. So it could be a blog post, it could be a talk like this. The different participants do lots of different creative things, workshops at conferences and things like that. The next slide gives an introduction to some of the features of this program. The community is great. It's a small community. We have regular meetings where we can ask questions of the community manager and meet each other and share updates about our projects and things like that. The whole rOpenSci community is super helpful. Again, if you have specific questions about how to do reviews or something in your package. Mentoring is part of it. So if you are developing a package or writing reviews, you have someone to meet with regularly who can maybe help give you a little guidance on things that you don't know or understand, and resources, and it's good to have somebody to share updates with. Every participant will either write a package or review one. I chose to learn to review and focus on that because I thought that was the biggest skill that I could bring to the Many Dogs project. And then the last part is the outreach activity. The next slide, kind of some unexpected benefits that I experienced from participating in this. I knew that it would be good, but I really learned clearer and more efficient approaches to use in my own work. I had been, kind of working really independently, and it was fascinating to see what other people did and different approaches that, maybe better, maybe equivalent, but were kind of always interesting. I learned new packages and functions. I really enjoyed the puzzle of, looking at somebody's code and figuring out how they were thinking about the data and conceptualizing the things they wanted the software to do. as a result of reviewing someone else's package, I had an introduction to object-oriented data structures, which was really useful to me in a project that I started after the program. I also learned so much about ways of collaborating and working together, both in terms of the nuts and bolts of how to use GitHub and kind of fostering a community, and was really pleasantly surprised that I was working on a private consulting project, and these ways of working together have really improved things and benefited for the client and the coworker that I have, and all that. It was really just super useful in more ways than I anticipated. So in the next slide, just to contextualize it back to big team science, there's a lot of knowledge that is relevant for people who want to work together on these projects. You can adopt the practices that rOpenSci uses with the issues for the reviews and things like that. You know, that might be a good way to get a data team for your open science project together, and helping each other and interactive. You can use relevant parts of the development guide and the templates. rOpenSci has templates for lots and lots of things. The one for software review is only one piece of that. If you look at their documentation around the website, they have templates for other things. It makes it really easy for people to join without barriers if there's a something to fill out rather than starting from scratch. Specifically, learning the GitHub processes is really helpful for everybody involved on the data side of these projects. If you learn GitHub, you already have the foundation for using GitLab or Codeberg or one of the other Git-based. Git is actually software that underlies these sites and takes care of version control for your software. And not to forget, the kind of spirit of community and working together is super important and rewarding, and just makes things a lot more fun in some ways than working on my code all alone was. It's great to have kind of like-minded people who have these values of really learning together and teaching each other and all of that good open science stuff. And the next slide is our thank you. Thanks so much for the BTSCON organizers. We really appreciate being able to share this. Also, I really want to thank rOpenSci, the community, and specifically the Champions program for providing this framework for open science projects. And also just want to mention Sylvia Canelone for developing the theme for these slides that are coded in R, and Shani and I worked together on them in GitHub, and they're all great collaboration tools. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Fantastic. If anybody has any questions for Liz, you can put them, excuse me.
I won't be notified about people raising their hands, so you might want to just talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can put them in the chat, or You
I will hear them
can,
in the chat, but I won't see raised hands.
yeah, I can moderate any raised hands if anybody wants to ask a question live. We certainly encourage that, but you can also put questions in the chat. While folks are doing that or thinking about that, I'd like to ask a question. So I, as someone who helps coordinate the efforts of a big team science group that has lots of projects that are, developing analysis code and does our Open Science have like any type of consultancy program or like sort of a way to help folks who are maybe unfamiliar with this process, like big team science groups, especially, I'm thinking, like to sort of go through sort of a code review process?
I think I'm gonna let Shani answer this, except to say I'm sure they would be able to find you someone who could do that.
Okay, thank you. The first thing, Heidi, is to all the peer review process is open for everyone who wants to participate. So if you already have a package that is in our scope, so we have some topics that we are able to review because usually it's two people, one person who knows about software development and the other person who probably knows about software development but is more an expert on the topic of your package. So we have those point of view. And there is some topics that we don't have experts, so we can't review those ones. So we can do this kind of pre-inquiry issue where you ask, hey, I have this package, can you review? And we are going to check that and let you know. But if you are not kind of still ready to send a package to review, our OpenSci is working on different ways to help people beyond the Champions program. Like, for example, we are working with some OSPO office on providing them some of the short version of the training that we provide for the champions for their researchers and for their team that can be useful for them as an early stage with the goal that people finish doing package and send them to peer review. So yeah, that's kind of my answer. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll ask one more that's kind of related. Is there anything, Liz, I know you've been involved, both in this effort and in Many Dogs, which is a, big collaborative effort. Is there anything that you think that you've learned just in terms of how like the team operates that apply like from one team that could apply to the other groups that you're in or, in either direction in terms of processes, workflows, just sort of more team general things? Like you mentioned a couple in your talk, but if you could, what stands out to you
Yeah,
as something that's helped these teams operate?
I think really the social part helps a lot because it motivates people to do some of the real detail work, which can be really fun or really tedious. But kind of having a community where it's easy to get on Slack and ask somebody, hey, do you remember how to, you know, do this kind of data transformation or something? And really intentionally setting up your community to be supportive in that kind of way rather than being competitive or hierarchical. I think it makes such a big difference from the earlier part of my career.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Great answer. All right, we've reached the end of our time slot, and I want to thank both of you again for this amazing presentation. I can't wait to dive into your online resources and learn more. So thank you so much. And I hope to see everybody at more sessions over the next few days. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Heidi.